if you're watching, you've actually built one of the biggest businesses in the GTA, and it's all about community building. You have a massive community that you've nurtured over the last few years. How do you do that at such a high level? Was it something that you just were natural at, or did it take time for you to build this business?
I've always been in sales. I started out setting up at different fairs, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, kind of where I learned how to sell.
You were a carny.
That's incredible.
His name is Mike Dobson.
One of the OGs of the Fresh Approach.
We're ready, guys.
Ready.
We're ready, guys.
Ready.
Everyone, my name is Jinder, and this is another episode of Keeping It Fresh. We're on episode 15, and today...
16.
16.
Yeah, 16.
Thank you, Alex. What would we
16.
do without you?
I know.
Today, we have a guy here. He wears many hats. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to get started. He's in the commercial space. He's in the residential space. He works all across the GTA. He has stories that we're going to get into today, but we're going to start from the beginning. This guest that I'm about to introduce, his name is Mike Dobson. Welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
For coming on.
One of the OGs of the Fresh Approach
Yeah.
real estate team. Been around.
Yes, thank you.
So what? Oh, you have to talk into the mic.
Oh, thank
You
you.
have to talk into the mic, yeah. So why don't we start? Who is Mike Dobson, and why did you get into real estate? How did it come about? Because you were in the commercial space first, right?
I did commercial real estate in the very beginning. So I've always been in sales. I started out actually in the carnival when I was a kid. So my family used to travel across Canada, just setting up at different fairs, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton,
Like the X?
like the Toronto, yes, the
Wow.
CNE, Calgary Stampede, Edmonton Klondike Days.
Wow.
That's kind of where I learned how to sell, if you will. $2
So
a ball.
you were a
3 for $5.
carny.
One and you win.
$2 a bottle.
Yes, I
You
was
were a carny.
I was a
That's
carny, yes.
incredible.
That's
Yes.
funny.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I didn't know what carny meant when we first started talking.
That must have
That's
been so
embarrassing.
fun.
Yeah, well, it was different. It was a lot of work. You have to get up every day and work every day. We didn't really have a summer, so.
Wow.
But we got to get out of school a couple weeks early, so that was fun. Yeah, so that's how I started out. Then my very first job after the carnival.
You
because
might need to
You
hold
gotta
this a
talk
little
into
bit.
the
mic, Sorry,
yeah,
'cause I
it's
couldn't,
kind of awkward to hold it.
I didn't want to be a carnival worker for the rest of my life, even though it was something that my parents did, and they did really well. I wanted to do other things. So after that, I went into, I actually started at a company called Arbor Memorial, where I worked as helping families with their prearranging their cemetery arrangements.
Oh,
which
wow. Okay, yeah.
is a different type
Yeah.
of real estate, a little bit
So
smaller.
before they passed away, they
So
would
Yeah,
before
it's
they
like
pass
you
away,
pre-plan
yes.
your funeral,
Wow.
essentially.
It's
So you
actually
would meet with these clients or these
Yes.
people and sit with them and talk about
their
arrangements.
eventual- Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a different job. Getting to meet with families to talk about that is something you have to be very sensitive about.
Yeah.
And it helped me to, I guess, develop my sensitive side. But it was also something that I didn't want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I,
It's a little morbid.
it was a little bit. It was something that was very lucrative because everybody should be doing that.
Yeah.
It's something that is very important. If you do arrange that for your family
Yeah.
ahead of time, then you're saving them a lot of
Yeah.
grief and pain and suffering down the road.
I think
So
it takes a really special person to
My mom does it. My mom
be
does
in
that.
that space.
She pays like $50 a month to pre-play. She's already planned it, so we don't have
it's
to.
something I believe everybody should
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because there's
Smart.
nothing worse than
Wow.
having to deal with that when somebody's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure.
I did that for a couple of years, and then I got. Then I thought, well, it's hard when I wanted to stop, or the day I stopped was when I made somebody cry.
Oh.
That
Aw.
was I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
I had an uncle, or I have an uncle, sorry, that is a general contractor, and he introduced me to a guy named John Hare over at Royal LePage Commercial, and
Nice.
it was 20 years ago, almost exactly.
Wow.
And he knew my dad from the carnival, just small world.
Wow.
And he hired me right away, and I started off on the industrial side there.
So did you have to get your license like everyone else for the real estate? Like how did that work 20 years ago? Same process?
Same thing, same process.
So then what did you do in the commercial side?
So it was all industrial. Not the most glamorous part of real estate,
Yeah.
but warehouse leasing, working for landlords, working for small companies or companies that need space, and yeah, that was it.
Interesting.
So now that how long have you been doing residential for?
I started 2020, so it's
2020,
been
Oh wow, 5
yeah,
years?
it's almost 5 years.
And what made you make the shift from going from commercial to residential?
Well, mostly I was with a company that I didn't really love, and it's about the people that you're with and the people that you work with. I made a transition from a company that was Cushman & Wakefield, and then I moved over to Jones Lang LaSalle. They gave me a very good opportunity there to help lead their industrial division, but I kind of did a deal with the devil where I signed a contract, and it wasn't the most fun. Wasn't the best place for me. And so after the 5 years, I joined Jeff and Christy. I saw what they were doing here and with this team, and it was something that I really wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
Actually, when I made the transition from Cushman & Wakefield over to Jones Lang LaSalle, is when I was thinking about going to join Jeff's
Into your
team.
mic.
And it just didn't work out at that time because I had a better opportunity at JLL. And then so once that was over with, though, I met with Jeff and then Christy.
How did you meet
and-
Jeff and Christy? Was that like you've
Well,
always known them? Or
I've
did
known
you?
Jeff through friends, and I didn't really know Christy, but we just we hit it off, and I love the team. I love the small team. I saw what they were trying to build.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to work. I always had an inkling of wanting to work on the residential side, but I never really got involved in it. And what I wanted to do was, when you're on the commercial side, you can only really help out people in the commercial world. But on the residential side, you can help out everybody that you know, everybody that you meet. So there's a
Yeah.
lot more opportunity than I thought.
Cool.
And that's just what you've done. If you're watching, you've actually built one of the biggest businesses in the GTA, and it's all about community building. You have a massive community that you've nurtured over the last few years. How do you do that at such a high level? Because I know at the last Christmas party we had, you had hundreds of people showing up for you that know you by their first name. They trust you. They would, give their biggest asset to you. And was it something that you just were natural at, or did it take time for you to build this business? Because a lot of people are new in this business and they want to build a business like you, but how did that start?
So I had a unique opportunity. I live in a very unique area. It's a community that was built, and there's nothing like it anywhere else. You guys know Trelawney. All the homes are built on cul-de-sacs. There's 100 cul-de-sacs in a kind of like a horseshoe circle, and then interior there's homes as well. But it's unique because there's nothing like this anywhere else. And I saw an opportunity here. It was developed in the late 80s, early 90s. There's a lot of original owners there. I live there. I know a lot of the neighbors. Well, I know the neighbors. Typically, you know the neighbors on your own cul-de-sac, but you don't know all the neighbors everywhere else. That's the uniqueness of the area. But I saw it as a great opportunity because of all of the original owners that are still there. And it's such a great area. Nobody moves away from it. Nobody leaves Trelawney. So I thought, well, if I go around and I start farming this area, I live here. I've been here my whole life. There's nobody better to talk about this area that I could possibly make it a good stepping stone as a farm. So
Did you just have a vision of what could be? Because
yeah.
you said nobody was moving, and you still decided to build a business where
I knew that eventually people would be moving.
Yeah.
There are we are an aging population, but Trelawney in my area, there's a lot of people that purchased in the 80s and 90s, and they're in homes that are much too large for them.
So when you looked at it, did you look at how many homes sold in Trelawney,
I
the year before, and
Yeah.
if there's only 20, how can you get 10 of those? Like, how did you break down the numbers?
That's the challenge is, yes, because it's there's only 636 homes in Trelawney. And so there's only 20 to 30 that sell every year, if that.
If that, yeah.
And so obviously I'm not going to get every listing. Everybody has a cousin, brother, uncle, or whatever that is an agent. So I can't just focus on that. I have to work around the area. But I knew that eventually there would be, because it is a community, because people know me, that they would be using me, and it's starting to happen.
I have a question. So, of course, you put in the sweat equity, you planted seeds every single day. Every single day, you kept doing that over and over. How long did it take for you to actually see the very first harvest of those seeds that you planted? Was it day one, you got lucky, or 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, where somebody said, hey, Mike, I want to sell my house?
I got a listing right away.
Of course.
Well, it was a challenging
got a
listing.
horse.
Okay.
It was a 4,200 square foot home that needed some work. And when you have a house that big that needs work, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we were on the market for 75 days, which is a lifetime, especially when you in the residential world.
Yeah.
But we stuck to our guns, and I actually ended up finding the buyer myself and selling the house
Double-ending it?
myself. Yeah,
Incredible.
so
Nice.
it worked out well. My clients were very happy, and Jeff and Christy, I think that I remember them telling me they didn't think it was going to sell, but it
Brutally
happened,
honest, those two.
So, yeah.
So
Go on.
So I know it took a lot of time for you to kind of build it up to what it is today. It's not an overnight success. What kept you motivated, throughout the years to kind of keep going?
That's the challenge. Motivation is always number one. Obviously, though, is the family. You look at your kids. You look at your who you have to support, and everything that they want, everything you want to give them, and that's the motivation right there.
Yeah.
That'll drive you to push. It's not about the cars and the houses, fancy trips and things like that. For me, it's not.
What
it's
about Leafs tickets?
It's definitely about Leafs. It's definitely about Leafs.
Biggest Toronto Maple Leafs fan, bar none. I don't think there is anybody else. We've been at multiple events where Christmas parties, fancy events, galas. You're just like holding
your
your phone.
phone.
I'm like, what are you watching? You're like,
It's a good thing
the
we don't do
game's on.
things on Sundays, because I'd be having Red Zone on.
But it is, yeah.
I have a question, though, with farming, because it does take dedication. Like you said, it does take motivation. It's more door knocking than anything. That's really what farming is, because you're not just going to put things in the fly, like in the mail, because you have to put a face to a name. You can only mail so many things.
Mm-hmm.
How often did you door knock? Was it like a weekly thing in the beginning, a monthly thing? How often did you put your hand on people's doors?
And how many hours?
Well, at the beginning, it's very, very, very time consuming, especially my unique area, because it's cul-de-sacs and you have to walk up and down them. I remember it taking a long time, just because at the first initial go around, because I'm introducing myself to a lot of people, and the conversations were very long. A lot of people were, leaving. I had conversations for 45 minutes to an hour sometimes, just on their talking about the area, talking about about my life growing up in the area. And that's what makes it unique for me, is because I actually grew up there. I watched the place be built, that I can explain this to all these people. And it's about planting seeds. It's not about trying to sell somebody right there, right then. It's about trying to create a memory so that they remember you. And if it's anything that you can say or do that will allow them to remember you and say, hey, I remember that guy that, we talked about our whatever on our cul-de-sac or on our driveway, and I'm going to give that guy a call. It's about trust.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is you're making that community a better place. When you get a listing, you're trying your very best to bring the value, bring the clients what they deserve for their property, because you know what the entire community is all about.
obviously
So,
I live there, so
yeah.
I have a
You want-
vested interest.
yeah.
But it's not just me. I have friends there. My parents live across the street. My father-in-law lives right around the corner. So I have friends, family, and if I don't do a good job on it, then everybody's gonna know.
Everyone's
Yeah.
gonna know. Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
come.
Okay, sorry. I just want to go back a little bit. That very first listing that you got, I know it was so long ago now. What did that conversation look like? And do you remember leaving? Did they immediately invite you inside to do a little evaluation, or did you have to
No.
go home, follow up for a couple of weeks, go back?
Yeah, I was
What-
competing against 2 other agents. And I'm unfortunately I'm brutally honest, and I was honest with everybody.
Yeah.
I told them right away that it was my very first listing on the residential side, and
Yeah.
you really shouldn't do that to your first clients. But
Yeah, you're my first clients ever.
In that space.
but
yeah.
they trusted me. They saw the passion that I have and the benefits that having me there. And so they took a week or two, but finally came around and signed up.
Wow. Well done. Did you get any sort of a dopamine hit from that listing, or
of
was
course,
it? Yeah.
yes.
I don't know
remember-
why that's funny.
Because you're yeah. Oh,
Well,
Jay.
yes.
Was it to the point where you were like, "Ooh, this is awesome! I'm gonna now go out and get another one"?
Like you were on a high.
Definitely. You think that it's going to be pretty easy,
Okay.
but I remember not getting another listing for a very long time
and
after that.
how long was that?
It was probably in the fall.
Okay, wow.
I think that's what it was, something like that. And when you're putting all your eggs in one basket, so
That's
to speak,
what you were
like
saying.
you
Yeah.
were saying,
Motivation.
it's you got to really.
But you started in 2020, so that was when COVID started. And
yeah, that was a
then-
challenge too.
Yeah, that was a challenge. But then the market got crazy second half, and then 2021 was the bananas year.
Yes. 2021 was a bananas year. We had I got a few more listings, and it starts to snowball from
Yeah.
there, right? Once you get one listing, then everybody sees your name, and then they want to talk to you, and you become kind of like the guy around. And then we start doing other things like having community events. I had a couple what we called cul-de-sac parties that really that's where people start to see what you're trying to do, is that it's not just about selling.
Yeah.
It's about trying to bring the community together. And that's honestly what I have been doing. And with these parties, they're special because I've had neighbors tell me that they met neighbors that they'd never met before, and that
Yeah.
they're creating new relationships. My mother, who was in Florida yesterday, sent me a text, and she said, I saw one of the Trelawney neighbors in the Costco in Naples, Florida.
Wow.
And she said, "Hey, I'm Mike Dobson's mom," and she forgot her name. But then they had a big long conversation.
That's awesome.
This is because of my party.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't wait
Absolutely.
to write that in my next Trelawney Times.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I remember doing when I first started with the team back in 2022. I did one of my very first open houses with you in Trelawney, and it was incredible just to see how many neighbors came. More so just because of the Trelawney Times, which is a newsletter you put out every month or every
Yeah.
couple weeks. They knew you by name, and it was more so just there was a relationship there. And I attended your cul-de-sac party, and you brought so many people out, and they were so appreciative of everything that you're doing more so for the community. And it just shows that your passion for Trelawney itself,
Yeah.
and just making the community overall a better place. So I think it's incredible with everything you've done.
People will see that everybody knows, we're out there, we're trying to sell. But if you take a different approach to it, where it's and you're actually genuine, where you
Yeah.
have to be doing it from the heart. People will read, they'll see what you're
Yeah.
doing, and if you're not doing it genuinely, then
'Cause
they'll read you.
Yeah, farming takes a lot of effort and dedication. Like
Too much
it
time. It takes
it's
so
a lot
much
of time because you're expanding outwards now, right? Like you're trying to do that in other areas.
Liscar,
Of course, yeah.
even outside of
have to.
Mississauga, but
You can't just have one.
One
There's
area.
too many other people doing exactly what we do, and we don't have all the relationships. Like I said, everybody knows somebody that's an agent.
Yeah.
100%.
There's
And-
70,000 agents
That's
just
a
in the
lot.
Toronto real estate board
So
alone. So
Unfortunately, a lot of people want to use the people that they know, and even if it's not in their best interest, they'll still do that.
But I'm
Yeah.
sure over the years you've definitely won some business from those people for sure as well.
Of course, yes.
sometimes
I
you
just
want
got
to
a
be
list-
second, right? Because you know the first is going to mess up and you're going to do better.
Sometimes you do. Yeah.
So it's incredible what you do because you also have multiple children. You're at all their games, hockey games, practices, showing up, going on date nights with your wife. I saw random posts where you posted something the other day. So where do you have a system for your life where you conserve energy so you're able to do these things, or
There's no
You don't
system.
have kids.
It's
You
mad
don't get
chaos.
it.
I have a very good wife. That's what I have.
Okay, there we
I have
go.
I have a wife that's very organized, and is much better at this parenting thing than I am. So
Okay.
that helps me.
How old are your kids?
8, 10, 13.
8, 10, and 13.
That's a good age difference between them. That's not bad.
Yep. Yes. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Do you ever
they're-
build the business as a family?
Of course, I exploit my kids every time I can. I put them.
I knew the answer to that.
We go out,
In
and
the summer.
actually, this actually helps out too because as reluctant as they are to do it, we go out and we drop flyers around the neighborhood a couple times a year.
Yeah.
But the neighbors see it. The neighbors see
Yeah.
my 3 little blonde kids walking around the neighborhood, and I've actually got calls because of that. I had a presentation this year because they said, I saw you and your little kids knocking or dropping off flyers, and I thought it was very cute, and so I will keep exploiting them.
And say, listen, you're not going on vacation unless you do these damn
Hey,
flyers.
I mean,
100%.
you were exploited as a child yourself. You were
Yeah.
a child carny
Yes, I
without
was.
your will, but it was the funnest time of your life.
Definitely not. It was definitely not. It was a lot of work.
Did you ever have like a carny girlfriend, like another girl that you had a crush on that was like in another carny
There
family?
wasn't enough time. It was too much work.
Okay, fine. Yeah, just thought I'd romanticize this carny life of yours, but no,
There was
just
no-
work.
no, it was work.
Okay, if I wanted to go to the carnival, like the CNE or whatever, are there certain games I should stay away from and certain games I should go to? Are they rigged? Obviously they are, but
Well, they're rigged to the point where not everybody wins. Only a certain percentage will win, and you just go and play the water gun games.
Okay.
So somebody's going to guarantee.
Somebody's going to win, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's talk about the market. What do you?
Well, I was going to ask one more farming question, then we can get into the market. Just advice. If someone is going to say, I want to start a farm, like if someone wants to do, West Oak Trails in Oakville, that's a big area, where would you tell them to start? Like what would be a weekly schedule or how would you tell a brand new agent to start farming an area?
Well, what I would say is don't pick an area that's too large.
Yep.
Keep it to a few hundred homes, and maybe start out just street by street. So pick a street or two, and every other day do a different street and just track it, follow it, map it. Put all of the addresses in your database. Geo them. Make sure you have all their names. The easiest or the best thing that I do is I have all of the houses, all of their owner contact information in there. So when I go up to the door, if I just put in the address quickly, just the 4 number or the numbers, and right away it'll pop up and I have their names. So I can just knock on their door. Hey, Bob. Hey, Susan. I'm your neighbor right down the road. Just wanted to drop off some information and let you know that, I do work around the area. Just something very simple. You don't want to
Be salesy.
no sales.
Yeah.
Just try and let them know who you are, and then be consistent because
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. If you don't follow up, if you're not, then you're not going to get the business.
And there's no point of even going out and door knocking.
No, you got to be consistent.
That makes sense. Okay.
Solid advice.
Yeah. Let's do market talk.
Yeah. What are your predictions for going into 2025?
Let's
overall?
start with the interest rates, I guess.
Do you
right?
think there's going to be okay, first of all, interest rates. December, historically, there's usually never an increase or a decrease. Last year, I believe, was the first time in like a gajillion years or however long it was that there was actual increase, because there was an increase last December. So I'm interested to see if there's actually going to be a decrease in December.
I think there will be a decrease.
I think it's either going to be a decrease or just a pause. Like historically, there's never been an increase or decrease except last year. So
I think it'll be a small decrease.
Yeah, I think
a
0.25?
20 Yeah, 20,
Yeah.
25. Everybody's saying that they thought there was going to be another big one.
I don't
that's
think-
what I thought.
I don't think it'll
heard,
be a
but
big one.
yeah.
It'd be nice. if there's
Apparently,
another 0.5, but-
yesterday, one of the RBC economists said there's going to be 50 basis points.
I heard that as well.
I feel like that's
December,
going to be
Jan.
drastic.
That's
I feel like
pretty-
if they did 50 and then 50, everyone's going to be like, the market, and just freak out, and
Yeah.
it's going to just create chaos again. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, Bank of Canada is out to lunch again. They've been doing such a great job right now. Why mess it up?
Yeah.
But nothing has really happened yet.
I
right?
agree.
And you look at everything that, like, there's been how many rate cuts now?
Was it
and-
4 consecutive now? Or 3 consecutive?
And we
I don't know.
haven't
I'm in
really
baby
seen.
world. I don't know
we
what
really
day it is.
haven't
I think
seen.
3 in a row.
We really haven't seen that much change
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Now it could be because of the time of the year.
Yeah.
We're right in the holiday season, right? So maybe that.
Yeah, we're getting in the thick of things. But also the new mortgage
reform.
Oh,
is
yes,
huge,
those are
right? So
big.
especially with GTA numbers going up to 1.5 million and putting a minimum percent down, people are probably waiting for that. If they're saying, "Oh, I could get the house I want at 1.2 instead of having to settle for something that I have to, switch in 3 years anyways, why not wait a few months and just get that one with the minimum down payment?"
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's really going to help the properties that are slightly over $1 million.
yeah.
Because even now, like those properties that are close, you literally see them sell at 999, 999
Yeah.
because those people need insured financing.
Yep.
So I think even like $1,010,000, now that they don't have to put 20% down, it's a
Yep.
very small margin being from that like 10 grand, but it makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
And the 30-year amortization
Yeah.
as well, that they can extend their payments out
Yeah.
5 more years.
For the first time home buyers. Yeah, I think $1 million to $1 million 1.2 is going to be huge in the GTA. GTA West, anyways.
I think there's going to be an onslaught of listings that are going to come trying to take advantage of
Ooh.
everything right
Okay.
at the beginning of the year. Probably January, February is going to start out very, very busy. I see that just for my personal business, but I also think that there's a lot of people on the sidelines, like you said, just waiting to see what's going to happen. And once we have a rate cut, another rate cut, or 2,
Yeah.
things are going to start to really happen.
But what people also don't know is that if you, let's say you buy a house today and you get an accepted offer and it closes in January and you apply for your financing, you have to apply at today's rules. You can't apply and have a lender approve it as of the December 15th rules. They're going to say, nope, you have to resubmit on December 15th or after that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So that's why people are waiting.
That's why people are waiting,
I
because
didn't
then
know
if
that,
you have
okay.
a 5-day financing condition, it means absolutely nothing because they have to go back at after December 15th.
Got it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, there's no harm in getting that pre-approval.
Pre-approval, yes.
And then after December
Yes.
14th, just redoing
Yeah.
your financing.
Because you
at
can
that
do
point.
a pre-approval based on the numbers after December
Yeah,
15th,
yeah,
right?
for
Because
sure.
you're like, I know that I'm going to be doing this after. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's going to be busy.
I think so.
Are you excited about 2025? Do you have a
I'm very
big vision
excited.
for your life this coming year?
I know it's going to be busy. So a lot more planning is involved this next year.
Yeah.
Trying to get everything in the books before the start of the year. So actually planning out my entire year, which is
Okay.
something that our team is trying to push. And
I was going to say, do you have a date where you want to plan your 2025?
before Christmas. So the next month,
Yep.
I'm going through, and every week, every day, weekend, everything's going to be in the books to try and take advantage of it, because next year is going to be really, really, really busy.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
3 kids all playing hockey, all doing different sports and different things.
Wow.
And if you don't put it down, if you don't write it down, then you
Yeah,
get all
Yeah.
messed up. And
Do you go month by month? Because I know there's the 5-3-1 or something that you plan.
Oh,
You have the one goal, the 3 things, and then the 5 tasks that you do, and you do it weekly. I know Keller Williams does that. Do you go by something like that and plan it monthly?
I'm doing it monthly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's basically every day. I'm gonna have every single day
Yeah.
try and have it all planned out. Well, obviously you can't plan every day, but
Yeah,
the major
things happen.
you start with the fun things, like
Yeah.
they say, and then you work into the business things. and-
Wow. That's incredible. So you're going to look at all 12 months. You're going to put in the hockey practices, the games, most of
As
the
much
things
as
you
you
can,
can,
Much
yeah.
as you
school
can,
schedules,
yeah.
and then you're going to start just putting the other stuff in.
Yep.
I think
That's
that's,
so
smart.
smart.
That way, like you have, like Christy mentioned that, like
I've never
especially
done
for
it
big-
before, so I don't know. I'm planning this, and
Yeah.
hopefully this is gonna. I think it's going to be a life changer, but we'll see.
How
Do you use Google Calendar or do you use like pen and paper like old man?
Got
Ian
him on the
over
day
here?
Old
planner.
man
You got
Ian.
him on the day
Old man
planner.
Ian.
You got to write it
He's
out.
got a
Day
planner.
planner, the
Gotta
day
write it
minder.
out. Yes,
Yes.
so I've got a new
Yes,
book,
Doc.
and every minute of every day is outlined of what
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing, and so
You're not
hopefully
tech
that
savvy, no Google Calendar.
How
for you?
long do you think that's going to take you? Like a day, 2 days, 1 week,
probably
2
take
weeks?
me a few weeks.
A few
Yeah.
weeks. You're going to do it over the
I think so.
holidays?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. What time are you going to be doing this?
You wanna-
I'm just
do you wanna
wondering.
join him? Or?
I know, I'm just wondering, is it going to be in the evenings while you're having your tea? Like, what's your mornings when you're like
We're
amped
going
up?
we're going to Florida. I'm taking the family to Florida, so on down there sometime.
For Christmas?
Wow.
Yeah.
Or during the
Oh,
holidays?
wicked.
When you're not doing real estate, when you're not at your kids' practices, games, what do you do for fun? What's
Yeah,
your
what's fun
what's-
for Mike besides going to a
used to
Leafs
have
game?
fun. I used to have fun. You know what's fun now is actually I live vicariously through my kids. I do. I know
Yeah.
it's boring and terrible, but I actually get very excited to go watch my son play, and my daughters. I coach both my daughters,
Yeah.
and just watching them grow and develop and become better little humans.
Yeah.
That's the joy.
I've heard that because obviously you guys know my little one is 1.5 and I got an 8-week-old, that when they get to that age, you live vicariously through them because
100%.
you know at some point you're going to be an empty nester and your
Yeah.
life is going to be your life again, right? It's not going to revolve around your kids.
Hopefully,
So
hopefully you get it back.
hopefully they move out at 18.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I feel like this went by
Not in
so
the GTA.
quick this episode, but we always like
see?
to end the episode with 5 questions.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
the
I have
exact
questions,
same
yeah.
questions that we ask everybody.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Pretty easy. It's just rapid fire. First thing that
Okay.
comes to your mind. And Ian, I'll let you
I'll
kick it
start
off.
What's your favorite movie or movie you think everyone should watch?
My favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption.
Woo.
Oh,
That's a good one.
That's a solid one.
I actually just watched it with my 13-year-old son.
Such a messed up
It was
movie,
wrong, but it was
Yeah.
it's a good movie. So if
Okay.
you haven't seen it, go see it.
What is one book that you think everybody should read or listen to on Audible? Or podcast that or anything like
Well, I just finished Atomic Habits. I
Okay.
refinished it. That is something that is everybody should listen or read. It's something that helps you to do little things to become better, and it's
Yeah.
just a bunch of little tiny things that if you change small things, you can become much better.
Yep.
Coffee or tea?
Tea, but
What kind of tea?
green tea. I've never even had a cup of coffee.
What?
Really?
What? Nespresso?
Never. I've had an espresso.
Oh, I've been
I'm
living
sorry.
off
Oh my
Nespresso.
gosh. This guy
Client.
guzzles back waters like
Oh, yeah.
nobody. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Water crew.
You
Yeah.
two. Jesus.
yeah, we're always
two,
competing.
two at a time. Early bird or night owl?
Both.
Nice. Okay.
Not good, I know, but I always.
What
get
time
up-
do you wake up in the morning?
It depends on the kids, but usually between 5 and 6.
And then do you
He's
have
just
any
silently
like
out
morning
here being
routine that you
amazing.
do before you deal with the kids, or you
I
kind
used to be very good, and I'm getting better. I used to get up and jump on the bike for half an hour. Now my wife does that, but I'm getting back into that. In the morning, sometimes my son has hockey, so I have to take him to the arena.
hockey in the morning, eh?
Before school this morning, we
Oh,
had
wow.
Tuesday, Thursday.
It's dedication.
Yeah.
Okay, and last question. What's one thing you can't live without?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's yeah.
I'd have one more after that too. It's a.
I can't live without my wife. I love you. I need you.
I love you, honey.
Stay with me. We're gonna make it.
And Mike finished the sentence. Life is.
Amazing.
Ooh.
It is. We're so blessed to be here. Every day we get to do whatever we want to do and meet different people, and just being alive is amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mike, for
Thanks for
being
joining
here.
us, Mike.
thanks.
Alex,
Awesome
do you want to
episode.
kick us out? You always have the
I didn't
outro.
want to do this
Oh,
at all,
yeah.
but you guys are amazing.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well, I'm happy
very
that you're here.
proud
I'm
of
happy
you.
that you said
Honestly,
yes.
I'm happy you came. I think there's people that are watching that are gonna feel moved by this episode.
Yeah.
Because like what you're doing is amazing. It's obviously the consistency and the action,
Yep.
but just to see that you entered a new space, so many new spaces over and over, and you just made it happen. The motivation was there with the wife
Yep.
and family, and just shows
Yep.
you like anybody can do it if you come from a place of with heart.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Well, thanks for
Awesome.
coming.
Thanks for
Like,
coming on.
comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Say it at the beginning, but we never do. And we'll see you on the next one.
Buy a
and
house from the Fresh Approach.
if you haven't subscribed, Liscar Life newsletter,
And Trelawney Times.
Trelawney Times, and you can find Mike on all the socials. We'll plug everything below. But thanks, Mike.
All
Thanks,
right.
Mike.
See ya.
Thank you.
Boom. Episode 15, 16.